Good morning.
Good morning.
And welcome to All Souls on this Veterans Day weekend where the weather's trying to figure out what it wants to do. Welcome to everybody who's here and those who are joining us online. Obviously, I am not Carolyn Connor. My name is Scott England. I'm a member of the board here at All Souls and am happy to be your moderator for today. One of the things that we like to do is to see who is visiting with us each week. So are there any visitors here today who would feel comfortable standing up and introducing yourself and letting us know where you're from? Right here in front.
My name is Kendyl. I'm the sister of Gibbons and she's here to sing.
Welcome, welcome. Yes. Yes, a very, very wonderful part of our service. So looking forward to that. Yes.
Hi, I'm Jeffrey Wells. I'm a friend of Jack Cady, and here's Max and Sam and Teresa, and we're down from Minneapolis for Jack's birthday.
Well, welcome. And birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Jack. Happy birthday to you. All right. Are there any other guests who feel comfortable introducing themselves, or any members? Or any members who have brought a guest or met somebody that they'd like to introduce? Okay. Well, even if you don't feel comfortable introducing yourself, you are welcome here this morning. We do have a Sunday Plus lunch that is occurring this afternoon, and it'll be in Conover down the hall following our service. If you are a guest, please let the cashiers know, and lunch is on us, no charge. Also, because it is Veterans Day weekend, if you are a veteran, please let the cashier know, and lunch is free for you as well in honor of your service. You'll have noticed announcements that we had on the screen before the service. They'll be back up after the service. There are also announcements in your bulletin, lots of things happening. And now's my chance to fulfill a slight childhood dream of being a flight attendant. In case of an emergency, there are 2 exits at the front of the room. There are also exits behind you. Please take note, the closest exit may be located behind you. Unfortunately, no oxygen masks will fall from the ceiling, and no lights will appear on the carpet to guide your way. But there you go. So, welcome today, and today should be a very exciting, educational, inspirational service. So, welcome.
Again, good morning and welcome to this hour of gathering here in our covenant community of memory and promise. To be a community of memory is to remember many things. It is to remember the wars of the past and the present, the human tragedy and waste of lives and suffering that they represent, and also the courage and sacrifice of those who gave themselves in the service of freedom. It is to remember the end of wars with gratitude and hope, and to remember with honor and gratitude toward those who served, which we do on this Veterans Day weekend. I invite those military veterans who are here with us this morning to please rise and receive our thanks. And be sure that in addition to our applause, we invite each of you to be our guests for lunch following this service, courtesy of Diane and Sharon Cassidy and their helpers. To be a community of memory is to remember many things. It is to remember the people here in our city and across our nation who die by violence, and especially from the plague of guns each day. It is to remember 3 neighbors shot to death at 17th and Chelsea Avenue the day before yesterday, and to wonder about our own streets. It is to remember the 26 victims of last week's mass shooting at First Baptist Church in Sutherland Springs, Texas, and to wonder about our own congregation. It is to hold those lost lives and the loved ones who mourn them most directly in our hearts, in pain and rage for the human tragedy and waste of life and suffering that they represent. It is to ponder with bewilderment and fear and increasing numbness the culture in which we live and the brokenness of mind and spirit that surrounds us. To be a community of memory is to remember so many things. It is to remember our fellow Americans in Puerto Rico, still grieving the loss of their homes, their neighbors, their family members, bereft of water, of electricity, of critical medical care for week following week. They wonder if they are indeed forgotten by their government and by the world. Let us remember in this hour that we are also a community of promise, together on a journey of hope, in search of a beloved community. What we share is not a passive assurance that the world will turn out all right if we simply trust in forces greater than ourselves. Rather, we commit ourselves to one another as we learn to be more fully human together. We seek a path of reason, of self-awareness and compassion and justice, promising to discover from each other and from the world how to do our part in the building of a better city, a better nation, and a global community. To be a community of promise is to work for the coming of a day when we may send our noblest warriors forth not to slay each other, but to challenge humanity's oldest common enemies, hunger and disease, fire and flood, oppression and violence. It is to commit our hearts and hands, our thought and work to a vision of something that might yet be, to human kinship that unites us past all separation, to justice and mercy that summon us to repair our broken systems and guide us into right relationship, to a gratitude that finds beauty in ourselves and each other and in the infinite variety of all things. In the spirit of memory and promise, we kindle this flame of power, illuminating the holy in each of our faces. May it burn as a passionate commitment to our shared faith, where we are held and carried from day to day and week to week in the shining of this light. This flame is mine as well as yours. We are brought together on this day, called to grow to expand within its glow. What does your heart know while beholding this precious light, this holy fire?
Good morning. My name is Khalil, and I light this chalice for a free and responsible search for truth and meaning.
Good job, thank you. Now I invite you to rise in body or spirit and join together in repeating the words of our community's covenant. Together we affirm, goodwill is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. And will you remain standing for our opening hymn?
Somebody's calling my name. Oh, hush, hush. Somebody's calling my name. Hush, hush, y'all, hush. Somebody's calling my name. Oh, my Lord, what shall I do? Sing it again, y'all. Somebody hush, yeah, hush. Somebody's calling my name. Oh, hush, hush. Somebody's calling my name. Hush, hush. Somebody's calling my name. Oh my Lord, what shall I do? Sounds like freedom, y'all. Sounds like freedom. Somebody's calling my name. Sounds like freedom. Somebody's calling my name. Somebody's calling my name. Oh my Lord, what shall I do? Sounds like justice, y'all. Yes, it does. Sounds like justice. Somebody's calling my name. Sounds like justice. Somebody's calling my name. Somebody's calling my name. Oh my Lord, what shall I do? I'm so glad that trouble don't last always. I'm so glad trouble don't last always. I'm so glad, y'all. Trouble don't last always. I'm so glad, yes I am. Trouble don't last always. Oh my Lord, what shall I do? Sing hush one more time. I'm singing hush, hush. calling my name. Oh, hush, hush, y'all, hush. Somebody's calling my name. Hush, hush. Somebody's calling my name. Oh, my Lord, what shall I do?
Hush. Hush now. Somebody's calling your name. Can you hear it? Calling you to a past not quite forgotten. Calling us to a future not yet fully imagined. Hush. Hush. Somebody's calling our name. What shall we do? Indeed, what shall we do? At this time, what we shall do is dismiss our young people to their classes with song.
Reading is from Missing Voices by Connie Simon. When I started attending a UU church, I was excited by the promise of worship that would draw from the arts, science, nature, literature, and a multitude of voices. Indeed, some of the voices that Unitarian Universalists hear in worship each week belong to Thoreau, Emerson, Ballou, and others. Their words are beautiful, but they come from a culture and experience that's foreign to me. When do I get to hear voices from my culture? I quickly learned that other than the same few quotes from Martin Luther King and Howard Hughes Thurman's The Work of Christmas, it wasn't going to happen. I sit attentively and listen with my head to their voices, while my heart longs to hear more of our voice.
I am a black woman. When I look around on Sunday morning, I don't see many people who look like me. In most of the congregations I visit, I don't see anybody who looks like me. So I guess I shouldn't be surprised that I don't hear voices of people who share my experience. But it still hurts. I want to hear voices that tell of the struggle of living under the weight of oppression in this culture of white supremacy. I want to hear voices, stories of trying to stay afloat in the water we swim in. I want to hear voices of living while black in America.
I don't hear those voices in UU churches, so I have to supplement my worship by reading black theologians like Anthony Payne and Monica Coleman. I read Maya Angelou, James Baldwin, and my favorite poet, Paul Laurence Dunbar. Though not a Unitarian or Universalist, Dunbar chronicled the African-American experience in the years following the Civil War and the emancipation of enslaved Americans, a time of opportunities for blacks as we migrated north in droves seeking employment and education, but also a time of continuing segregation, racism, and oppression.
For Dunbar, the struggle was real. 100 years later, hearing Dunbar express his frustrations and give voice to the contradictions of our existence as African Americans encourages me and nourishes my soul. His voice speaks to my heart. He knows my pain and understands my sadness, my fear, my rage. He understands the tears I cry as I pray for strength to get through another day in this world. He gives voice to my deep faith that real change is coming someday. He didn't see it in his lifetime, and I might not see it in mine. But I have to keep believing it's possible.
That's the message many African Americans long to hear in church. I know that's what I need to hear every now and then. Will it ever happen? Or will we always have to go outside to hear our voices? If that's the case, maybe there's no place for us in Unitarian Universalism. The thought of leaving is painful, but so is living in a faith that ignores our voices.
Last April, the National Unitarian Universalist Association invited all UU congregations to create a teach-in event around issues of white supremacy and the challenge of dismantling structural racism. All Souls was in the midst of a schedule of sabbatical services that was not flexible, and so we were among the half of UU congregations that, for a variety of reasons, did not participate. This fall, Black Lives UU, a coalition of members and leaders of color within the UUA, has again challenged us to take this November Sunday to educate ourselves and reflect on how our faith calls upon us to understand and respond to the racial inequities of our society and the legacy of racism that we all carry. The central question they have posed is this: how can we learn to stop putting white consciousness and comfort at the center of our common life and become intentional about lifting up the voices and experience of people of color? What would it be like if our UU worship service centered entirely around the voices and experiences of Black Unitarian Universalists? What truths might we hear, however difficult? What might we learn? How might Black leaders teach us to be better allies, better siblings in faith, and even better citizens in our community? In our commitment to dismantling white supremacy as a system and embracing the presence and leadership of people of color, white Unitarian Universalists are still learning how to decenter our whiteness so that people of color are brought from the margins into the center. Today, we explore the practice of that work and the promise of a new way of being together. We Kansas City UUs have been extremely fortunate over the years that the women of the musical group Book of Gaia have several times, many times, shared their singing and playing with us. Pamela Baskin-Watson, Nedra Dixon, and Angela Hagenbach have generously supported messages centered around white voices in our services with the gifts of their art and their heritage. Today, we invite them into a deeper conversation, not just to sing for and with us, but to reflect with us on the message of their music, what it means to them, what they expect and hope it might mean to us, and how it might challenge us as a largely white congregation, and how it might draw us together toward greater understanding and the vision of justice and a beloved community. For those who would care to spend a bit more time together, the forum and service will be followed by a time for discussion. And since we will be lifting up voices of the Black experience here in America, we begin with these words from the Black poet Langston Hughes.
Let America be America again. Let it be the dream it used to be. Let it be the pioneer on the plain, seeking a home where he himself is free. America never was America to me. Let America be the dream the dreamers dreamed. Let it be that great, strong land of love, where never kings connive nor tyrants scheme. Let any man be crushed by one above. It never was America to me. Oh, let my land be a land where liberty is crowned with no false patriotic wreath, but opportunity is real and life is free. Equality is in the air we breathe. There's never been equality for me, nor freedom in this homeland of the free. Say, who are you that mumbles in the dark? And who are you that draws your veil across the stars? I am the poor white, fooled and pushed apart. I am the Negro bearing slavery's scars. I am the red man driven from the land. I am the immigrant clutching the hope I seek and finding only the same old stupid plan of dog eat dog, of mighty crush the weak. I am the young man full of strength and hope, tangled in that ancient, endless chain of profit, power, gain, of grab the land, of grab the gold, of grab the ways of satisfying need, of work the men, of take the pay, of owning everything for one's own greed. I am the farmer, bondsman to the soil. I am the worker sold to the machine. I am the Negro, servant to you all. I am the people, humble, hungry, mean. Hungry yet today, despite the dream. Beaten yet today. Oh, pioneers, I am the man who never got ahead, the poorest worker, bartered through the years. Yet I'm the one who dreamt our basic dream in the old world, while still a serf of kings, who dreamt a dream so strong, so brave, so true, that even yet its mighty daring sings. In every brick and stone, in every furrow turned, that's made America the land it has become. Oh, I'm the man who sailed those early seas in search of what I meant to be my home. For I'm the one who left dark Ireland's shore, and Poland's plain, and England's grassy lea, and torn from black Africa's strand I come to build a homeland of the free. The free? Who said the free? Not me. Surely not me. The millions on relief today? The millions shot down when we strike? The millions who have nothing for our pay? For all the dreams we've dreamed, and all the songs we've sung, and all the hopes we've held, and all the flags we've hung. The millions who have nothing for our pay, except the dream that's almost dead today. Oh, let America be America again, the land that never has been yet, and yet must be. The land where every man is free. The land that's mine. The poor man's, Indians, Negroes, me. Who made America, whose sweat and blood, whose faith and pain, whose hand at the foundry, whose plow in the rain, must bring back our mighty dream again. Sure, call me any ugly name you choose. The steel of freedom does not stain from those who live like leeches on the people's lives. We must take back our land again, America. Oh yes, I say it plain. America never was America to me. And yet, I swear this oath, America will be. out of the rack and ruin of our gangster death, the rape and rot of graft and stealth and lies. We the people must redeem the land, the mines, the plants, the rivers, the mountains and the endless plain. All the stretch of these great green states, and make America again.
Good morning, and thank you so much for having us. We are always privileged and honored to be a part of All Souls service, and today on Veterans Day, we hope that our musical message and our art can contribute to an expanding knowledge of one another as a human people. I've been asked to give reflections on our national anthem. So I was thinking real long and hard on this, and I call my little prompt the profundity of singing the national anthem. I could speak on the inspiration of the text of Baltimore's lawyer, poet Francis Scott Key's penning of the Star-Spangled Banner in the year of 1814 at Fort McHenry as the British attacked during the War of 1812. And we might simply be reminded of his state of mind when he viewed a lone flag waving in the aftermath of mayhem and destruction in the particulars of war. And we might be reminded of maybe what he thought as he viewed this lone flag as a unifying standard of citizens of a young country. But in really pondering that, I said, what might I say in a reflection that could be of some significance or not? And I thought more closely to speak on an unforgettable occasion when our country's anthem has had a lasting and effect on me personally. In Corning, New York, in the early 2000s, I was asked to perform the Star-Spangled Banner for a celebration honoring the late Senator John Glenn, the first American to orbit the Earth. I accepted the invitation with great pride and a profound respect for the amazing accomplishments of this iconic American hero. I was even a little starstruck when I was introduced to him and shook his hand. But at that time, if I had known these names, Katherine Johnson, Dorothy Vaughan, and Mary Jackson, 3 African-American women whose expertise in mathematics and science and computer calculations were essential in the workings at NASA's Langley Research Center in Hampton, Virginia, in getting Americans into space, John Glenn amongst them, I may have responded differently. Before last year's film, Hidden Figures, I never knew these women existed. I am an informed, intelligent, ever-curious, educated Black woman, and I find it profoundly sad that in this land of the free and home of the brave, that I have never heard their names, not in a history classroom, nor in any Black Studies forum. And I would dare say that most of us had not heard their names either. In my mind, it borders on the criminal that this beautiful, life-affirming, unifying, and integral part of our American story is not required learning. Perhaps if I am ever so privileged and honored and blessed to be asked again to perform our national anthem on a special occasion, I too now might be moved to express my frustration in being part of a people left out, unjustly treated, and far too often simply ignored. As I would sing the words, "Oh, say, can you see?" perhaps I would raise a fist or take a knee in solidarity, or simply speak 3 names: Katherine Johnson, Dorothy Vaughan, Mary Jackson. Recognize us, respect us. We are here.
We are going to sing the first verse, and hopefully you will remember what Ms. Nedra just said as you recite and sing these words now. Thank you. I was asked to give reflections on this third verse. I admit I'm not a football fan, not even the Chiefs, so don't get me. But a while back when I kept hearing this young man's name, Colin Kaepernick, I didn't know who he was. So in my car, I heard a piece of something, but I didn't understand what it was. So when I went home, I got on the computer, and I saw and read about this young man's bravery of reverently protesting, having to sing the national anthem because of this third verse, which I didn't even know that there was more than one. I didn't. I consider myself a pretty, astute musician, but I didn't know that. And it was also in protest of all of the killings of black young men and women by the police. It was not a protest about the military, and it saddens me that this false narrative was put out there in order to take the eye off of the ball of what really was. And this young man was saying that he could not stand up and pledge singing this song, that the third verse clearly did not include people of color. I read this line that says, no refuge could save the hireling and the slave from the terror of flight or the gloom of the grave. So I would like for people, as they listen to Book of Gaia sing this third verse, to try to put yourself in the shoes of someone else who loves this country, and the thread of this country is held together by this wonderful thing called the Constitution, but it does not include you. It is very clear that the Constitution does not include people of color. It's very clear that this hymn that we're supposed to sing in patriotism of the people in this country, and it does not include you. So, with that book of Gaia, we'll sing this third verse.
And where is that band who so vauntingly swore that the havoc of war and the battle's confusion, a home and a country should leave us no more? Their blood has washed out their foul footsteps, pollution. No refuge could save the hireling and slave from the terror of flight or the gloom of the grave. And the star-spangled banner in triumph does wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
In 1861, the Unitarian poet Oliver Wendell Holmes added a fifth verse to the original 4 of the Star-Spangled Banner as he attempted to make sense of a nation newly divided by a contentious election and on the verge of civil war. Historian Stephen Mucher reminds us that this verse, published in songbooks during the war and afterwards, does 3 things that the familiar first verse fails to do. First, it presents an image of liberty, now a statue in New York Harbor, that welcomes the immigrant. Second, it suggests that we need to sing loudest at times when our greatest enemy threatens not from abroad, but from within our own borders. Third, it addresses the institution of slavery boldly and reminds us that American democracy expands by extending the birthright of citizenship through courageous activism, even bloodshed, and contradiction and struggle. The fifth verse points us toward inclusion, a core American value worth preserving. Unlike the offensive lines of the third verse, these words are worthy of our collective voices, especially in troubled times. Through this expanded anthem, we can sing to national ideals, welcoming newcomers, incorporating difference, and sharply questioning authority. We can sing our admiration for the activists and martyrs who struggled against what once divided us. We can sing, not to a flag, but to the republic for which it stands. And we can sing proudest, not just because a symbolic banner once proved through the night it could withstand a foreign attack, but because our people have endured by coming together to remake this nation into the land of the free. We can choose what words to sing, reminding any present or future foe that this is our American tune. Will you stand and sing?
Well, I'd like to tell you a little bit about the background of the iconic song, Strange Fruit. Which I will do so in a moment.
In a moment. but this tune that we're going to do right now is also an iconic tune. It was written by Fats Waller. And it speaks to his overwhelming feeling of invisibility. If you can just imagine writing a song so, this song breaks my heart actually. The bridge of it is, I'm white inside, but that don't help my case because I can't hide what is on my face. That doesn't mean that he wishes he was white. That means that he wants to be seen. You know, if y'all can jump in at any time.
And we
if y'all got, yeah.
Red. Yeah.
Yes, we do. We all bleed red. But the name of this piece is called Black and Blue.
What did I do to be so black and blue?
No joy for me, no company, even the mouse almost ran from my house. All my life through, I've been so black and blue. I'm white inside, but that don't help my case, 'cause I can't hide what is on my face.
I'm so forlorn, life's just a thorn, my heart is torn. Why was I born? What did I do to be so black and blue? I'm white inside, but that don't help my case.
Oh, no, no.
'Cause I can't hide what is on my face. Oh,
I'm so forlorn, life's just a thorn, my heart is torn. Why was I born? What did I do?
what did I do? What did I do to be so black and blue?
My friends, my church, my beloved community, good morning. It's been a long time. Anyway, this is Black Lives Matter. Black lives matter, yet the very air we breathe, the wondrous flesh we inhabit, our ever-resilient presence in this vast, recalcitrant land grab called America is casus belli. Black lives matter and have mattered since the Middle Passage. The cruel efficiency of slave patrols, whips and pistols, along with the salubrious pleasures of coon hunts and lynchings after church. American power with its oligarchs and hegemons has always known Black lives matter when exercising their allegedly God-given right to terrorize through myriad blunt traumas, poll taxes, redlinings, or that catchy buzzword, austerity. So-called liberals will slogan up the rallying cry, speak truth to power. Those in power already know the truth that Black lives matter, especially when the time comes for manufacturing Untermenschen before exterminating them in massacres for being uppity. from Roger Taney to Ronald Reagan, from Rush Limbaugh to Charles Koch and Prescott Bush, these acolytes of the pathology that is white supremacy know all too well Black Lives Matter in a most profitable, if savage, way, because if Black lives did not matter, all these mechanisms, all these structures and policies would implode. The fleeting comforts and elegancies accompanying white privilege would explode into a billion shards of shrapnel, leaving no white people at all, just people. From Darren Wilson to Bull Connor, from Woodrow Wilson praising Birth of a Nation to the bloviating flatulence of Fox News, Black Lives Matters as a fetish, much like a tar baby. Why do you keep wishing to be in the land of cotton when you are already here? From sea to shining sea, this is your country to run amok in. This is your country where you kept severed limbs and testicles as tchotchkes, as souvenirs, much like your plundering brethren looted pyramids or other indigenous artifacts hoarded into museums as gaudy testaments to your supposed civility. This is your country. You brutalize, then rationalize the atrocity of being in fear for your lives without so much as a scratch on you, while a Black young man's corpse burns for 4 hours in the midsummer sun. Elegant courtier of manifest destiny that he was, you all really should not have listened to Rudyard Kipling. Do not blackmail us with that sally and surly notion of reparation. It will not absolve you in this, your beloved country of Eurocentric memory and Aryan promise, where beneath the twinned alabaster avarice of white supremacy and privilege lurks a death urge so abysmally psychotic and addictive, Edgar Allan Poe couldn't stay sober long enough to grasp its depth, its breadth, its menacing metamorphoses. This is your country where Black Lives Matter even more because this is not an indispensable nation. You are not a chosen people. You are not a royal priesthood. How can a country that gorged itself on genocide and slavery ever be? Brothers and sisters of the African diaspora, we know Black Lives Matter by our refusal and our resistance, by our rebellions and in our revolt. With the imminent threat of police gunning us down one by one, we summon the collective resilience of those who steadfastly and miraculously kept chasing that long arc of justice in the universe to challenge and rise up against 400 years of terror by fiat, of genocide for the literal and existential hell and profit of it. We will tear down the master's house. It is the only human and humane thing left to do. It doesn't matter what plowshares or swords we use. We will take to the streets. We will riot if we must. We will tear down the master's house. We will subvert any ideology that presumes the master to have such a dubious title. We seek only justice, not revenge. For it is then, and only then, that the enslaved master will learn that Black Lives Matter. They always have. They always will.
Okay, Tech Deck, this is going to be a challenge. There is so much that we need to hear and want to hear, and we overestimated how much we could hear on one morning. And so I'm going to ask us to sit for the offering because it's an important offering, and then we'll go to our closing words and closing hymn, and I believe our guests will come back again and do chapter 2, yes? All right, thank you. So Jack.
Today's offering recipient is Black Lives of Unitarian Universalism, otherwise known as BLUU, or BLUE. This organizing collective is powerfully leading a movement that is working to dismantle white supremacy, both in our specific congregations and in our broader association as a whole. They have been leading the way and encouraging us to explore concepts of white supremacy, racism, and oppression in ourselves, in our cities, and our congregations. The UUA board has made a bold commitment to fund Black leaders in Unitarian Universalism and to support ministry to Black identified Unitarian Universalists. And this is not the first time the UUA has made a commitment like this one. Back in 1968, there was a similar commitment made that never got fulfilled. That promise was broken, and the UUA is embarking now on a campaign to fulfill that promise. The promise and the practice of our faith campaign is our opportunity to take the lead as a faith denomination in addressing our history of upholding white supremacy. Together, we can collectively work to dismantle it and amend a long broken promise to the Black lives within our association. We can work together to build toward that beloved community. In the words of our association's recently elected president, Reverend Susan Frederick Gray, if you believe that our faith must become radically inclusive, justice-focused, multiracial, and multi-generational, then there's no better way to advance that vision than through your support of BLUE. Part of this commitment has already been moved from an endowment to begin fulfilling it, and there has been a generous donation matching all congregational donations to this campaign, so the dollars that you give today have the potential to be doubled. Please join me in our association of congregations as we do something different in this extraordinary moment to connect our finances with our theological values as we enter a new chapter within our faith.
This tune was written by Kansas City musician Kent Rausch. Dylan said, times they are changing, but the more things change, the more they stay the same.
The more things change, the more they stay the same.
Billy said, there's strange fruit in the trees, but the more things change, the more they stay the same.
The more things change, the more they stay the same.
Sam said, a change is gonna come, but the more things change, the more they stay the same.
The more things change, the more they stay the same. Mavis, she said, we shall not be moved, but the more things change, the more they stay the same. So tell me, how long can we wait? We sing, we shall overcome, but it's getting late. And tell me, how long till the people get ready to lift every voice and sing?
Curtis said, there's a train a-coming, but the more things change, the more they stay the same.
The more things change, the more they stay the same.
Pete said, this land is our land, but the more things change, the more they stay the same. So tell me, how long can we wait? We sing we shall overcome, but it's getting late. And tell me, how long till the people get ready to lift every voice and sing? We gotta open our eyes. We're talking about lives. There's something happening here. What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? So tell me, how long? Tell me, how long? How long? Tell me, how long? So tell me, how long will the people get ready to really lift every voice and sing? So tell me, how long? Tell me, how long? How long? Tell me, how long? So tell me, how long will the people get ready to lift every voice and sing? So tell me, how long? How long? So tell me, how long will the people get ready to really lift every voice and sing?
Will you join me in the words of the dedication of the offering? We dedicate our offerings and our actions to the mission at the heart of this congregation, to build a respectful, caring community, to inspire personal and spiritual growth, and to create a just and compassionate society.
There's so much more to be said, and I look forward to being with you and with our friends again another time. For today, we extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, or the warmth of community, or the fires of commitment. For all these, we carry in our minds and hearts until we are together again. And we close with these words from my colleague, Kimberly Quinn Johnson, based on a phrase from the poet June Jordan. We are the ones we have been waiting for. We are not perfect, but we are perfectly fitted for this day. We are not without fault, but we can be honest to face our past as we chart a new future. We are the ones we have been waiting for. May we be bold and courageous to chart that new future. May we have faith in a future that is not yet born, for we are the ones we have been waiting for.